I put in here?
Live.
Hey, what's up, y'all? All right, well, that's kind of how the series went, how this intro is going. Let's just get into it.
Yainel Diaz, this is Locked On Astros.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Astros, your daily Astros podcast. Here are your hosts, Eric the Man Huysman and Brett H-Town Wheelhouse Chancey.
We are Locked On Houston Astros. My name is Eric Huysman. This is Brett Chancey. With over 6 seasons together, 2 decades on the mic, we bring you fans' perspective with local expert analysis. This is the Locked On Astros podcast, the number one Astros podcast, brought to you by Locked On, the number one sports podcast network out there. We are talking about this series that should have been a much better series for the Houston Astros. I said in my solo show the other day, you do not need to wake the sleeping bear. The Mariners are a sleeping bear, and they're not that far out of not only the wild card, they're not that far out of the AL West. And so I'd hope that this is not a jumpstart series for the Mariners, but unfortunately the Astros played pretty good comeback baseball. Of course, in the first game, they had that walk-off home run by Christian Walker. You and I both did podcast on that, but it just seemed like in Saturday's game, it was an epic pitching failure of the offense, and the offense tried to score 5 runs, but they gave up 10 runs. And today's game, it's not all on Hunter Brown. I know the title might be a little bit misleading and everything. I know he struggled with command with 5 walks, but the Astros do have a starting pitching problem. They only have 2 starting pitchers that are worth anything at the moment, and so they're trying to find some answers.
Well, the Astros have a pitching problem, period. When the Mariners play the Astros, they are averaging 7 runs a game. When the Mariners play the rest of the league, they average 4 runs a game. So the Astros pitching is abhorrent. The Astros pitching is not good. And yeah, maybe in a limited series where you have, 5 games, or maybe you get to a 7-game series, you have less of a chance for error. And maybe you're, Hunter Brown and Peter Lambert, maybe Pecco coming up, or Wisniewski, or whoever, they catch lightning in a bottle. But seeing Hunter Brown, though, struggle with, he had 5 strikeouts, but 5 walks. He did only give up 2 runs. But this is not the type of outing you need your best pitcher having this late in the season. And the Mariners are your Orioles from last year, or your Mariners from last year. I mean, you remember the Mariners came into Houston and punched them in the mouth and swept the series. And after they came back Friday night, I was like, oh my gosh, we're going to totally flip this and we're going to win these 3 games and it's going to be a series sweep. Well, I put too much change in the hope bucket because the Mariners stole it, just brutal, man. 3 straight walks with 2 outs and throwing 11 consecutive balls at one point for Hunter Brown. That is not Diesel-like performance.
Yeah, definitely. And his walk percentages are up this year. I know that his walk, his numbers are up. I think he's up to 5.94 walks per 9 innings this year. That's a lot. This is Hunter Brown has been somebody. Of course, he's going to give up some walks. Most pitchers do, but that's an alarming rate. Today's game, 5 walks, of course. He loaded the bases, I believe it was in the 4th inning, and he got out of it in the 4th inning, but he allowed runs in the 1st inning, and then I believe it was in the 3rd inning. But those 2 runs held up. I know Souza gave up another run in the 6th inning, but those 3 runs were just enough, and the Astros looked like they had like some offense going. You had a home run by somebody that I didn't see hitting a home run today, Nick Allen. He had a blast. I did not see that coming. Jeremy Peña had a home run. This first time he had a home run in a while. But you only had 2 solo home runs in this game, and otherwise you have to go back to the risk issue. They're only 1 for 2 with runners in scoring position. So I guess they weren't terrible, but they didn't score any runs with those runners in scoring position. They left 7 runners on base, and it just felt like a situation where the pitching did okay in today's game. We're going to talk about the rest of the pitching on Saturday's game because that's really what I want to focus on a lot. But Hunter Brown, considering he didn't have his command, he doesn't have his swing and miss stuff like he did last year. All the underlying sabermetric numbers, they're down from what he did last year when he finished 3rd in the Cy Young race. So he is he's regressing a little bit, but he's still the best that the Astros have right now.
Yeah. It's just this series is indicative of what the American League is as a whole. The lack of hitting, the solo home runs, the pitching not backing up, the pitching not doing their job. It's just, I don't know. I know what this team is. This team is very mediocre. I mean, they're 1 game over 500. They have a 2-game lead now in the West. Seattle, what's interesting is Seattle's now 2.5 games out of the wild card. Above them, it's between a half game and a game and a half out of the wild card. And what's crazy is the East, the AL East is the strongest division in the American League. The Rays could overtake the best record in baseball with just 3 more wins. And so the reason why I mention this is because everybody that you're fighting with right now in the American League are in the same boat you're in for the most part. They're all fighting for a playoff spot. So now, even if they're under 500, you're going to be getting everybody's best. And the Astros need to pull their heads out of the sand. And if they are as good as they say they are, and, they didn't need to go out and do more than what they did at the trade deadline, Dalton Varsho, that first pitch that he took foul and the bases were loaded in the 8th, I was like, I thought for sure it was a 2-run single. They would have taken the lead. That would have been great, but it's just not happening for them. As long as we don't play the Mariners anymore, I guess the Astros should be fine because they seem to be our only real kryptonite. The Astros need to get up against some really good teams, right? I think it's the Angels next and then the Athletics. The Yankees are better. Maybe we kick the Yankees and the Mets and the White Sox, and we do enough. The only problem is we have Seattle. The Astros have Seattle for 2 more games, a random 2-game set with them towards the end of September. So you got 2 more games and it's in Seattle, and that could be a game. Those could be a series where you put them over the edge because you definitely don't have a tiebreaker against them this year. I think the Mariners are at 11-1 versus the Astros in the last 12 games, I believe.
No, the Astros have won 2 games against them this year. Both.
Okay, so 10-2. My bad, 10-2 in the last 12. Yes. Yeah.
So definitely, if you're looking at those 2 games, yes, that could. If the season's coming down to the wire, you're looking at between if it's Mariners, if it's the Rangers, and if it comes to that series and like, hey, this is a must-win 2-game series against the Mariners, you're going to have to look the team's going to have to look at themselves and say, hey, let's go out there and let's mean some business because they've looked like they've played really bad baseball against the Mariners this year. And the only time that they have won games is, like I said, against walk-off situations. And the Mariners played bad baseball on Friday for that to happen in the first place. I think it was Friday. Yeah, I'm losing track of days right now. I'm so upset with how this series went because this was a series that you could have made a statement. This is a team that has dominated you all year, and you could have just put them to bed. But instead, now they're only 4 games behind you in the AL West. The Rangers now are back to 2 games below you. You could easily be 3 games. They could be easily 3 games behind you right now. So the Astros just can't seem to put any team away at this moment. But at least they're still in the first place in the AL West. They are 63-62, 1 game over 500. And so that's just how the cookie's going to crumble so far for the Astros. So we're going to have to talk about where the Astros are right now, and not only in baseball, but just talk about, I know you want to share some offensive stats, but we're going to talk about the pitching rotation pretty in depth with this show because what happened on Saturday was pretty frustrating. We'll talk about this and more. Thank you for making the Locked On Astros podcast your first listen every day.
A big thank you to our friends at Amazon for this limited break. This back-to-school season, spend less on your kids with Amazon. We all know how crazy the back-to-school shopping experience can be. It starts with a few items on the list, and suddenly you're shopping for supplies, for clothes, for lunch gear, tech, and about 10 other things you didn't see coming. It adds up fast. And when you buy clothes for back-to-school and your kid has a growth spurt 2 weeks later, you're right back where you started. Sometimes it genuinely feels like they're growing faster than your budget can keep up. When the teacher supply list arrives and somehow every item feels completely reasonable on its own, then you add everything together and realize just how much stuff one kid needs for one school year. So remember, with Amazon's low back-to-school prices, spend less on your kids because every dollar you don't spend on them is a dollar you haven't spent on them. Shop back to school at Amazon and spend less on your kids.
Hey guys, thank you for making Locked On Astros podcast your first listen. Go and subscribe to us. Go and make us first listen. Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts, go and check us out. My name is Eric Huysman. He's Brett Chancey. We are the Locked On Astros podcast, and we are talking a little bit about where the Astros are. I just mentioned their record. They're 63-62. They are currently 2 games up over the Rangers, who are under 500 for now. The Mariners are 4 games behind you. So you have 2 teams that are trying to catch up to the Astros. The Astros have been trying to catch up to them, but the Astros, we're going to spend most of the rest of the show talking about pitching. And I do want to talk about what happened in Saturday's game because it was very bad. A lot of things happened in that game, and I don't want to say it cost René Blanco a job, but he got sent down to AAA after the game. But the Astros, and starting pitching-wise, they have the 3rd worst ERA in Major League Baseball. You got the Astros at 5.12, the Athletics 5.29, the Colorado Rockies 6.01. And then the 4th place team is 4.62, which is the Washington Nationals. So there's such a big difference between 3rd place and 4th place with the worst ERA in baseball. So the Astros are doing it to themselves. They've gone through 16 starting pitchers, and they just can't seem to find anybody that complements Hunter Brown and Peter Lambert well.
Yeah, I mean, they're just going to have to pitch better. The age-old question of which catcher gives you the best shot to win a game. Is it a Yainer Diaz issue? Is Christian Vasquez better behind the mound? The bottom line is the pitchers have to execute. And I mean, Diaz not only was bad at the plate swinging at air, he was also bad behind the plate trying to throw runners out. I mean, he did get Naylor at 3rd, but I mean, look, I know Naylor's got nearly 30 stolen bases, but make no mistake, he's taking advantage of pitchers with slow delivery. He's not a speed demon. Yeah, he does have a little bit of speed, but what you have to understand is on a major league roster, you have a starter and you have a backup. And until the Astros see Christian Vasquez as a starter, he's not going to get more starts than Yainer Diaz. The numbers may bear out that Diaz is the worst of the 2, but he has been deemed the starter, and there's been nothing or no indication that they've demoted him to a backup role. And until they do, he's going to be in there most of the time. But I remember a conversation I had with Ryan Stanek, a current pitcher in Major League Baseball, who holds the ERA record for a season for a relief pitcher in 22 for the Astros. He said, I blame myself, not the catcher, when I throw pitches over the middle, when I get most of the plate. He goes, it comes down to my execution. And so be careful blaming catchers. Look, it's a team sport for a reason, okay? I just don't know what the solution is right now. I just think guys got to fill up the strike zone more. If Hunter Brown couldn't find the strike zone, that's not because Diaz was behind the plate. You could have had Yadier Molina. You could have had Johnny Bench behind the plate, Yogi Berra. I mean, Carlton Fisk, name a great catcher. Benito Santiago from the Padres. If you know baseball, you know who that is. That's not the problem. The problem is the pitchers aren't delivering. And that's a problem when a team averages 4 runs against everybody else, but they average 7 runs against you. Pitching is your problem.
Yeah, and I'm just looking while you're talking. I was looking at what the catchers have done in AAA. Colin Price has a 219 batting average. He's got an 803 OPS, which is good, but he's got 14 home runs, 35 RBIs. So he struck out 79 times in 224 plate appearances. So there's nothing outside of the OPS that's screaming, hey, call me up. I guess OPS is pretty good. Carlos Perez, who's a veteran, he's batting 222 with a 699 OPS. He's got 8 home runs. You've got 28 RBIs. So, and then you got Cesar Salazar, who's batting 271 with a 792 OPS. He's got 3 home runs, 19 RBIs. But none of those guys, I think, is a impact guy. And if you're thinking about, well, why don't we bring up Walker Yannick? He's had some good times this year, but he's batting 256 with a 771 OPS with 8 home runs and 41 RBI. So it's not like he's crushing the ball himself either.
Well,
so,
he's having, ever since he's come off the IL, he's having kind of a career outburst at the plate. But he's in AA. He's nowhere near you. You're not bringing a catcher from AA to the pros at all, ever. That's not going to happen. You just don't have the depth. You have who you have, and you didn't go out and get another catcher, so you gotta ride with the horses that are in the barn, and that's why the Astros are in the situation they're in. That's why they've had one of the worst hitting outfields in all of baseball. I did wonder though. They have an off day tomorrow. Why wasn't Cam Smith in there? Why was Cam Smith a late inning addition? And don't tell me you have to rest him. He's 24. Don't give me that. Don't give me that.
I guess the situation, I think there was a maybe some analytics was in there that said maybe having Lamont Wade Jr. in there versus the starter would be better in that situation. Cam Smith has been playing a lot. He's been playing good baseball. So maybe there's some numbers that said, hey, this would be.
I'm sure there's some metric, but you gotta stick with the young. These guys they got an off day before the series started, and they get an off day after the series started. I'm like, he's 24. Let the kid play. I'm sorry, that still just bothers me about the modern game of baseball. It's one of the things I hate about it.
And the fact also that you pinch ran Cam Smith for Yordan Alvarez. You never take your best hitter out of the game. And I thought that would have been a bad play, especially if Alvarez's spot would have come up again and you had to have somebody else that's not Yordan Alvarez in that situation with a chance to win the game. I thought that would have been a bad call. And so I don't see them move there.
Right. No, I get that. But Eric, I'll be honest, and it's not something that we've said, but it's something that I've been thinking as I've been watching the game. Tonight, Alvarez missed the ball in left field, and I don't know if the ball careened off his hand wrong or if he hit the scoreboard with his hand, but he was shaking his hand, his left hand the whole time he was out there. And what I'm wondering is, does this home run drought really has like one home run, this month, since we got to August, or in like 18 games or however long this drought is this because he's got a hand that's ailing? Is he hurting? And that really concerns me as this team is trying to make a playoff run, trying to get into the playoffs, because guys, American League, all bets are off. I mean, you have the American League East and everybody else. So just get into a crowded field, make the playoffs, and then hopefully Lady Luck comes your way.
Yeah. So, I don't know what the situation was with Cam Smith and why he wasn't starting. I still don't get them taking out Alvarez, but if you're looking at the other top prospect, the catching prospect, it's Jason Schiavone. I don't know how you say his name, but he's also crushed. he's crushing the ball. He's got 24 home runs, 70 RBIs. He's got a 920 OPS, but just like Yannick, he's still down in double A. He hasn't made it up to triple A yet. So I'm not saying that the Astros would not promote them directly from the major leagues, from double A to the major leagues. They've done it. It's very rare, but they have done it before.
They would never do that for a catcher, though.
No, I don't think they would do it for that. You
Ever.
read my mind. So I don't think that they'll do it in this situation. So until one of these two guys get up to triple A, I don't think they're options for the Astros. So basically, it's Velasquez right now. You have no other options if you don't want Diaz to be the catcher. So, guys, we're going to go ahead and talk more about this. We'll talk more about the starting rotation because it's in shambles. Saturday's game is a perfect example why Dana Brown really should have gone out and made another addition. But we'll talk about this and more on this edition of Locked On Astros podcast.
Baseball fans, if you think you know who's in a homer today, FanDuel is giving you a free chance to call your shot with Daily Dingers. It's easy to play. Just make your free pick with who you think will hit a home run in their game. If you're right, you'll receive a profit boost to use on your next bet for a chance at extra earnings. Best of all, you can make a free pick every day throughout the MLB season. Daily Dingers is another fun way to stay engaged on everyday games, whether you're following your favorite team or keeping up with key matchups across the league. Every game has someone capable of going deep. Now you get a chance to make your prediction before first pitch. Sometimes you're chasing the hot hitter. Sometimes it's a favorable pitching matchup. Sometimes it's Joshua Baez hitting 3 home runs in his first 3 major league at-bats. Well, if you go and make your pick, it will be fun. I promise you it's engaging, and why not? So if you're ready to play your game today, join all the action at FanDuel.com. That's FanDuel.com to play Daily Dingers and make your free pick on who's hitting a homer. Play ball and swing for the fences on FanDuel, an official partner of the MLB. It's going, it's going, it's gone.
Hey guys, thank you for making Locked On Astros podcast your first listen. My name is Eric Huysman. He's Brett Chancey. We are talking about the games this weekend. I know we're all excited about what happened on Friday night. It felt like an awesome experience. But before we talk about our next topic, I do want to kind of relive the game on Saturday. I know that it was...
You want to relive it?
Not relive it, but just discuss it. It was Hancock versus Wisniewski. And Wisniewski has been doing pretty good. No, he had the start before. He pitched 7 innings, gave up 3 runs. But on Saturday, he didn't have his best stuff. But 4 innings, 7 hits allowed, gave up 4 earned runs, 1 walk, 6 strikeouts. So the earned runs are bad. But overall, if you look at the numbers, nothing would say that, yeah, he should give up that many runs. But his ERA is at 5.16 on the season. But he's been pretty effective before that start. And then Blanco came in after Brian Keane gave you a scoreless inning. And he gave up 5 runs in 4 innings and 3 strikeouts. So he's been very ineffective recently. And it may have cost him his job. He was optioned down to AAA. Miguel Yola was brought up. He did not appear in this game, but he may be a factor in the bullpen, or he may be going back down. We'll talk about that in a second. But Brett, who is in the rotation right now? Because I don't really know who's in the starting rotation at the moment. You got Peter Lambert and Hunter Brown.
Peter Lambert, Hunter Brown, and
TBA.
Christian Javier's probably going to make a start this week. I believe Joe Espada or Dana Brown alluded to that today. I believe they're going to call up Ethan Pecco. I know that they're also bringing back up Miguel Yola. He's been recalled. But Eric, I do have a question for you away from the pitching. If I were to ask you, where are the Astros ranked with runners in scoring position for home runs, where would you think they were ranked?
Not sure. Probably top 5.
No. I mean, they're 13th. I'm surprised you thought they were top 5 with runners in scoring position.
Scoring position. I didn't hear.
Yeah, runners in scoring position. Now, runners in scoring position with hits, they are 14th. I mean, they're not as bad as people think. Now, and they actually they have some of the fewest strikeouts, 25th in all of baseball. The Milwaukee Brewers have the most strikeouts with runners in scoring position. So I don't know what's going on here, man. I just look, this rotation, this lineup, they've got to go in and whoever's in there's got to do a better job of figuring out what pitch mix to throw. I remember Tatsuya Imai. I mean, does he come back as a starter? Do they bring him in as a starter? Does Alember Santa come up? Does he get a spot start? You got guys that can make spot starts. You just got. I feel like you're almost limping into the playoffs right now with the amount of pitching you don't have. Burrows is coming up soon. I mean, Burrows hasn't been great, but he hasn't been horrible either. So, dude, I don't know. They've had how many starting pitchers this year? 16 different starters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, they came in. I mean, again, this lineup and this roster constructed by Dana Brown. So just remember that.
So if you're talking about Imai, I know Chandler Rome kind of hinted at this, and I hope this is not the case, but Imai does have escalators in his contract that says if he gets to a certain amount of innings this year, he gets extra $2 million per threshold. And so I don't know if the Astros are trying to limit how many innings he pitches this year, but it seems like they are only throwing him 3 innings at a time, and they're spacing out like 13 days in between appearances at this point. And so he's still making pretty good money, but if he gets that extra to, I think it's 80 innings, 100, 120 threshold, he can get up to an extra $2 million. So I don't know if the Astros are trying to purposely doing that, or if they're just trying to work on things with Imai and then get him back into the rotation. That's something that they could be doing.
I mean, I think the only reason why they're limiting him is because they don't trust him. I don't think they're going to limit him to save $2 million or to save $1 million. But they're probably doing it because they don't know what they're going to get. You know, it's kind of like the Forrest Gump rule. You know, life's like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. You know, and that's kind of what you have with Imai. You can come out and have this amazing performance and just lock up hitters. Get guys like George Springer like walking away from the plate going, wow, like what was that? And then just giving up tanks and home runs and then being a part of a combined no-hitter. I haven't seen someone have more opposite or backwards starts from one start to the next. And then he comes in as a reliever and he's dominant. So it just seems like this team, I don't know what the goal is. I don't know what the aim is. I don't know what they're working on. You know, Carlos Correa may be coming back. I mean, what? This is a weird season. And at the same time, Eric, all these problems that we're highlighting from the Astros, whether it's a catching position, whether it's relief pitching, whether it's hitting with runners scoring position, they still may very well find themselves in the American League Championship Series. Believe it or not. Believe it or not. And you know, one of the teams that they've had the number of this year is the Tampa Bay Rays. So I'm just saying, this is a year that I cannot predict what is going to happen.
I'm gonna have to. I don't know. I'm not seeing that right now, just because with the lack of pitching, starting pitching, that's my only issue.
Well,
unless somebody just steps up, whether it be Imai just suddenly figures out, Burrows comes back and he's the Mike Burrows they traded for, or if Ethan Pecco comes up, because I know that Dana Brown hinted that he may be coming up. He was scratched from his start today's game, but there's a chance that he could be coming up, and there's no reason to burn him in a AAA game if you're going to save him for the Astros game this week. So I know that on Tuesday it might be Christian Javier. Then Wednesday it could likely be Ethan Pecco, and then on Thursday it can be Peter Lambert. That's likely going to be your rotation. But Ethan Pecco so far in between Carolina, the single A and triple A, He's got a I think that was a rehab start down in Single A, but he's got a 4-6 record with a 4.57 ERA. He has 86 strikeouts and 82 2/3 innings pitched. His whip is 1.331. So he's not having a dominating season, but I think the Astros know what this guy can do, and I think they want to give him a chance. And he's the next guy up. He is Rule 5 eligible this winter. So if you're going to have to add him to the 40-man roster anyway, you might as well see what you can get for him, because you did not make any additions at the trade deadline. So this may be your trade deadline addition, because Blanco's not working out. I don't trust Javier, and Blanco Wisniewski is still hit and miss.
Yeah. But hey, just to kind of go back to what this team I think can do, you just have to look at what they've done against teams that are over 500. They've played them really well.
Yeah.
When you have the number of the Rays, I mean, Eric, you're talking about a team that could have the best league in Major League Baseball by the time the playoffs get here. They're 2 games behind the Brewers. The Brewers have a tough schedule. And I just think that this team is going to surprise some people. And you've got to understand that this is a very very below average year. I mean, you have literally the Orioles are in the 3rd wild card spot. A few weeks ago, the Orioles were buried. They were done. They were toast. And you've got the Guardians, the Twins, the Tigers, and the Blue Jays, who have been awful this year, all within 1.5 to 1 game. And then the Rangers, a half game out. So, look, I think it's going to be interesting. I think the American League is going to be a fun playoff. I know it's not going to be the strongest, but I think it's going to be fun because everybody's coming in with the same arsenal, and there's not a lot there.
I know Monday is going to be off day, but the Astros have got to figure out what's going on, figure out how to get some victories, and they can't take the Angels lightly. They got to go in with the mindset of winning the series, if not sweeping the series. So, guys, thank you for making Locked On Astros podcast your first listen. Go and check out Michael Connor with the Locked On Astros podcast, and go and check out Brett and Mike over at the Back to the Bullpen podcast. We will catch you tomorrow. We'll go ahead and give you a preview of the Angel series, and we'll talk more about if Ethan Pecco is coming up and what the pitching matchups are like. So thank you for making us your first listen, wherever you listen to your podcast.
Go Stros. Beat the Angels. They're under 400. Come on. 392 to be exact.